Well, I've put a bit of time into this, into trying to work out how to explain this easily. Now, this shaft here, that's the shaft that drives the oil pump. So the drive comes through this gear. Now, from this gear, on the top end here, it drives the distributor. On the bottom end there, it sits over this shaft, and that goes down and drives the oil pump. Now, a common thing that goes wrong with this is when people are putting it back together, they slide the shaft in, they slide this gear down on top, and in the process of doing that, they dislodge this little key. And they don't realise they've either forgotten to put that key in. See, sits up in there. So they don't realise they've either forgotten to put the key in or they've dislodged it. So the symptoms of that are you start your tractor up after a rebuild and you've had the distributor out or something like that, and you have no oil pressure. And you think, holy shit, what's happened there? Well, that's the first place to look. Check that that little key is still in there, and it's as easy as dropping your distributor housing out and going from there. So this gear though, as you can see, it can go in many different positions. Now where it is on the oil pump there, it just doesn't matter a toss. No one cares about that. But on this distributor drive gear, you'll notice that if you look at the circle there, you'll notice that the keyway is down here. That's the continuation of the keyway for the oil pump drive. That's nothing to do with the distributor really. But you'll notice that the drive for the distributor is offset that way at the moment. Now, when we get the distributor housing and have a look in under here, which I need to give a bit of a wipe by the look of that, you can see that the pin that drives, it's offset to the circle as well. So how do we work out where to put that distributor housing or where to put that gear? So on this tractor, this has got an aftermarket distributor in it, and it's off a car or something. It's got vacuum advance, so it's nothing to do with Massey Ferguson, but it's been doing the job. So we know that when it's firing on number 1 cylinder here, we know that with the distributor sitting down the hole, the rotor is pointing at number 1 roughly. Now, the place where that fires, I'll get down here a bit lower, the place where that fires is when the rotor's pointing to number 1 and we're just coming to open the points there. That's when it fires. When the points are shut, that's your dwell. When the points open, bang, that's number 1. And so we do have the engine still on top dead centre at the back, you know, the screwdriver hole, that's all lined up still. So, and we haven't turned the engine since putting the cam on. So, but we do have to work this out. So how do we explain it to you? Okay, so if we set the distributor with the rotor pointing at number 1, with the points just about to open but not quite, we turn it up here and we have a look, and that pin is facing that way. So when it's here, it's actually in the same point of rotation as the rotor. So if we just take note of where the rotor is, then we turn it straight upside down, you'll see the pin is exactly in line with that. But we know it has an offset, and it's offset this way. So if it's offset that way, that means the correct place for this would be something like that. Now, what we also have to keep in mind is this is a helical gear. So as the gear, I'll just take this oil pump shaft out. as the gear starts and goes down, it turns. So if we pick a tooth back here, it turns, so we'll come back another tooth. So we know that this offset, this is offset that way to the centre of the shaft. So we know that if that's pointing to number 1, same as the rotor, that's what we're looking at here. This keyway's out here. So let's give it a test fit. So for this exercise, I'll pop the shaft on. Now, we know we have to start, let's start straight in line here. Where's the first one we pick up? There, so when we start with it straight in line and we turn it clockwise, the first gear that it engages with is the correct one, I believe. So I've just, normally the oil pump shaft, we don't have to worry about too much, but today we do. Okay, so with the oil pump shaft on, I might just get an oil can and put a bit of oil down here first. Lube it all up. Okay, so we have the oil pump shaft in. We hold a little tension there. We bring it down and it's hitting on the cam gear. So we just turn that. As it goes in, that shaft ends up pointing at number 1. So we're not talking about adjusting anything here yet, we're just talking about getting this gear in the right place. So if we sit the distributor on there and give it a wiggle, there we go. So we still have it at top dead centre. We have the rotor pointing at number 1. The points aren't quite open yet because they shouldn't be open at top dead centre. And that is the correct way to put your distributor in. Now, when we go into timing the distributor, we'll cover that then. This little clip is just so you know what that gear looks like and how to get your distributor lined up while you have the peg in at top dead centre. Then the final tuning after that we'll cover in a different video. So all we need to do now is bolt this housing in. We know it's in the right spot, that we know that gear is correct. If we need to undo the screws and take the upper ones and undo this clamp and turn the distributor later, that's a complete different job. That's in tune-up. This is part of engine assembly. So that's it. I'll do these up and that'll do the video for how to put that gear in the correct position.